in your earlier mid-20s, you're trying to develop your career, you're trying to build out who you are, you're trying to have an array of life experience to create the mosaic of who you are to become as a person in this life. And for that, I think a lot of young people find that they have to leave their hometown to do that. But then there's always that little part of you that is like, that's home. Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Vitek, and welcome back to Seat at the Table, a podcast where I talk about everything and anything in my life, and I invite you, please come pull up a seat while I lay everything out on the table. Today, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about, but I'm coming to you live. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. No, it's not live. I probably recorded this like a week or two ago, but I don't know. I'm just kind of missing my friends. I'll be so real. I'm missing my friends. So I moved to a new city. What is it, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago now? And I miss having my girlies. I miss having my friends around. I miss having people know my ins and outs and know what I like to do. And I just miss them. I miss my friends. I miss going to the movies with my friends. I miss going out to eat with my friends. I miss getting a drink after work with my friends / coworkers. But I don't know. And it just got me reflecting kind of on how I feel so lucky and I feel so fortunate to have such a great support system back home in Albany, just in so many different places. And it got me thinking even further about how over the years, I've been told that people don't stay in touch or they don't stay close with people that they went to high school with. And I have such a different experience than that. I am so close with so many friends that I went to high school with. They're kind of like family at this point, honestly. And so that got me thinking about back home. And I don't know, I guess I'm just feeling a little homesick, a little bit of like nostalgia right now. And it's also coming up on like one of my favorite times of the year to be home, to be back in Delaware County is the summer. There's nothing better than being in Delaware County when the trees are alive, the grass is green, and you can float down the Delaware River. There's just nothing better. I miss the bonfires and the campfires and the s'mores and the four-wheeling and the tubing and the kayaking and just cracking open a tall boy twisted tea and enjoying some quality time with my friends. And then also on top of that, the Delaware County Fair. Like, you're telling me I can't go to the Delaware County Fair this year? It like hurts my heart. But I knew all this when I moved down to the new city. So, it's a bullet that I had to bite. But now that it's rapidly approaching, I'm like, what I would do to walk through the gates of the Delaware County Fair in my cowboy hat and get anything. Fudge, a funnel cake, deep fried Oreos, a dog bowl of cheese fries. Like, I have had my signatures for so many years, and they're so potent in my mind right now that I've been having dreams. And now that I'm just saying this, I literally had a dream last night that I went to, pretty much it was the Delaware County Fair, and I was there, but it was like raining and it was sad, and like I couldn't do anything that I normally wanted to do. So honestly, my inner psyche is probably being like, girl, you are missing home. You are missing the Delaware County Fair. And I just think sometimes I get so caught up in the rat race of life, and I really go back and forth. I go back and forth between, I really want to put my head down. I really want to do the work. I really want to excel in my career and professionalism and, the whole 9 yards. And then on the other hand, I want to embrace the joys and the benefits of slow living I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it before, but like it came up on my feed like probably a year ago at this point. Slow living in the sense of enjoying the little things in life and enjoying when you have time to cook dinner, enjoying when you have time to just sit around and talk with friends and enjoy their company and enjoy the time that you have with them and not feel stressed or rushed or that you need to be on to the next event. And you would think that winter would be that, and I think that winter is that for a lot of people. But for me, I find myself wanting to slow down in summer, and I guess that makes sense because people take vacations and stuff. But not even in the sense that I'm wanting to slow down and like go on vacation and stuff. I just want a life where it's a little bit more slow paced. And so I go back and forth so often about what I want in this life. And I think that's what your 20s is. I think your 20s is finding out what works for you and constantly living in opposition to what you want from day to day. You know, one day I'm wanting to like get to work, and the next day I'm like, I don't want to work. I feel myself living in very much a dichotomy of life. And I just think the messiness and chaos and life being so hectic when you're in your early and mid 20s is how you develop as a person. It's how you form your personal relationships, your identity, how you view life, how you live life. And I think I'm just kind of in that process right now of having been so supported, so loved, so surrounded by my communities for so long, and then jumping into an entirely new pond and having to make friends again, having to build relationships from the ground up. I forgot how hard it was. I forgot how much effort it took. I forgot how careful you have to be when you're figuring out who people are and, you know, weighing, okay, like, are we besties? Are we friends? Are we coworkers? Are we acquaintances? It makes me feel like I'm back in college again. But I'll say college was so much easier because everyone was kind of in the same boat there. Everyone just showed up to college and they're looking for friends and they're looking to form their friend group. Whereas like now in life, people are settled and they have partners and they have their existing friend groups. But you know, when you show up to a new city and you don't know anyone, how do you make friends? How do you become part of a new friend group? And you know, I feel lucky. I'm saying this like, woe is me, but I've made some great friends already where I'm living now. But it's just the sense of having had friends that have known me for 10 years, know my ins and outs and my quirks and my likes and my dislikes, and just something as simple as, you know, making dinner with friends and they say, oh, we're going to make it this way because we know Christian likes it and he's a picky eater. Having people that know you is so invaluable. And so all of my besties who are watching, you know who you are. I love you so much and I miss you and I can't wait to see you. And so that is my love letter to my besties back home. And so kind of as I was also thinking about this podcast episode, I was also thinking about my hometown. Shout out Walton, New York. Woo woo. Population like 3,000. So wild to me. It's so wild because I've been in rooms now or arenas or theaters with 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 people. And I'm like, my entire population of my hometown can fit in this room. Like, imagining people within space is so wild. But yeah, I miss my hometown, and it's embedded in such a beautiful place of New York that it has trade-offs of it's beautiful and I love it, but it's also like in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours from like any kind of city, and as I was mentioning, in your earlier mid-20s, you're trying to develop your career, you're trying to build out who you are, you're trying to have an array of life experience to create the mosaic of who you are to become as a person in this life. And for that, I think a lot of young people find that they have to leave their hometown to do that. But then there's always that little part of you that is like, that's home. Like Walton, New York for me is home, and you miss it and you yearn for it and you know the comfort of it, and it weighs on you when you are exploring new things in life. And when, specifically for me, when I have downtime or when I'm home or anything of that nature, when I have a minute to sit, because I like to keep myself on the run, I like to keep myself on the go, but when I have those minutes to kind of sit down and think and reflect, I get sad. I become a sad boy. No, but I reflect on how grateful I am. I reflect on how grateful I am for my life. I reflect on how grateful I am for my family, my friends, my upbringing, those who have supported me, family and friends. Like, oh, I just feel so lucky and so fortunate, and I'm having a moment. I'm having a moment right now where it would just be nice to be around people who have known me and do know me. And, you know, there are also some dates coming up, like the anniversary of my father passing, my mother and my grandmother, my Mimi, their birthdays. And so this time of year is just a hard one. It just is. It's hard when you're away from your family. And I think too often we don't talk about our feelings enough. we don't talk about our feelings enough. And I feel like it is such a universal human experience to outgrow situations that you were in, or maybe not even outgrow, but just be living a different, maybe parallel experience to someone else that is kind of in that same block that you were brought up in, or that you had lived in, or whatever. And so it makes your emotional tie, your emotional draw to that place even stronger. Because I've noticed, I know that I have friends living in this city and this town, so I want to be in those places. But then also having the knowledge of, oh, okay, like my friends are also moving out of those cities, out of those places. So it's almost less of a draw to the place and more of a draw to the person. And so it's just hard growing up. Okay, it's hard being an adult. But yeah, growing up is hard. Growing up is hard and complicated and messy. And it's a lot of cardboard boxes from Lowe's. And it's a lot of storage bins from Walmart and Amazon. And it's a lot of sweat and crying and moving and renting a U-Haul and driving it down a 5-hour highway. And what was I thinking? But I really do believe that in this life, every step you take, every path you make, every step you take is the one that was the one that you were supposed to. And I'm not saying that I'm not feeling great and awesome and amazing where I am now, but it's the duality of man, the duality of humankind to live in two spaces at once. I always say this. I always say you do not have to only have one emotion at one time. You can feel angry and you can feel sad and you can grieve. And you can feel joy and you can feel happiness and you can feel angst and anxiety all at the same time. You do not have to feel one emotion at one time. And once I realized that, it made me understand how I was feeling so much better. And understanding how I felt led me to understand who I am. And I love living in my authenticity, in who I am and who I feel and how I feel. I think it's so uncommon to find people who lead and live with their heart on their sleeve. And, you know, I've kind of always been told that, like, it is so inspiring that you live with your heart on your sleeve, but I just don't have another choice. I yearn to connect with community and to connect with people and to make and facilitate spaces and relationships that are so fulfilling and rewarding to me as a person and my experience in this life. And I found you cannot do that if you are not open and emotional and authentic and genuine and ready to take on other people's lived experiences and perspectives and livelihoods. And so I don't know what I'm going to name this episode because I've kind of just talked about so much, but I just feel grateful. I feel excited. I feel happy. I feel nostalgic. I feel upsetty sometimes when I can't see my friends and family. A lot of FaceTimes. Over the last weeks and months, I have FaceTimed a lot. My mom can vouch for this. But then it's like, I would not want to be in those spaces and understanding the experience and opportunity that I'm having now. So it really is that push and pull of life, of wanting one thing but also wanting the other, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. And so I think I usually do, but just having more of a struggle bus time with living in the gray area, living in the mess, living in the chaos of it all, and wanting to be surrounded by the people that I know and love. But yeah, the city that I'm living in is great. It's so fun. I keep calling it like it is the perfect summer city, and I'm enjoying the work that I'm doing. I'm enjoying the city. I'm enjoying the people I'm meeting. The people I've met are extraordinary and compassionate and driven and skilled. Learning the skills and talents from people who are able to impose wisdom on you is so valuable, and I'm so grateful and so fortunate. And so my experience now is just so fun and so grateful, but I also yearn for the days of running barefoot in the Delaware County countryside. I don't think that there will ever be a time in my life where I do not feel like I am a rural kid who needs to be running barefoot in the countryside. I need to be that kid. I need to be jumping hay bales. I need my little piggies dipped in the creek. Like, like I yearn for that. And I hope at some point in my life I am able to have maybe retirement. I'm able to return to Delaware County and just enjoy the solitude and peace of what rural upstate New York can provide. And I do think at some point I will return home. I think you always return to the places that make you who you are, whether it be for a short amount of time or a long amount of time. There is something so inspiring and like kinetic energy. It's just like I need to be back there. And I have found myself back in Delaware County during very transformational, transitory moments in my life, during COVID, post-college, and really understanding who I am to become in the next phase that I'm headed into. Like during COVID, I was home during semesters. I was taking online courses and getting my degree, but in Delaware County at home. And then post-college, I was working remotely home. And during those times, I found myself leaning into a lot of like passion projects, stuff that I've always wanted to do, but have never had the time because I've, had a career here, or I was going to college, or, I lived in a different city at the time. And I've so valued the time to just center myself and say, I'm going to do this thing for me. I'm going to do heavy lifting at the gym. I'm going to organize my communities, my rural communities, and organize politically for local candidates. And it's been stuff that has brought me so much joy. And also some of the best people I've met in life have been during those transformational periods. And those stories and those relationships, as I mentioned earlier, have played a part in creating the mosaic of my life. And as I reflect on what is to come in my life, where I am now and where I've come from, I am so appreciative of the people and their stories and their experiences they brought to make my life so much more fulfilling, so much more enriching. And I think that we as people should spend more time dedicated to connecting with other people and building those relationships. And also stepping out of our comfort zone. I'll be so real. I'm so out of my comfort zone right now, but it leads to immense growth and change and opportunity and transformation in your life that you would never even dream of. So if there's a challenge for you in all of this and any of this, it's to take a step outside of your comfort zone in the next little bit and see where it leads you. It doesn't have to be huge, life-changing, major, but do something different. Take a step, take a leap of faith, and see where that brings you. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Seat at the Table. I am your host, Christian Vitek. Please like, comment, subscribe, share on social media, share with a friend, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends!